Good evening everyone and welcome to round 19 of the Apex Online Energy Season 16 PCF4 League. We are here in Mexico City for the Mexican Grand Prix where it could be a title decider. Zerd versus Ryzen, Haas versus Sauber and the Constructors. It is still all to play for, and it's definitely a bonus we come here to Mexico where great races are more frequent than not. At the Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez, named after the late greats Ricardo and Pedros Rodríguez. It is the highest track above sea level on the current calendar, something that can affect the race in real life, giving the power unit a less effective role. But in the Formula 1 game, that makes absolutely no difference whatsoever here at this 2.6 mile circuit, which in theory has everything you would want on a track. It's quick, it's twisty, and it's certainly possible to overtake here. 16 corners, 7 to the left and 9 to the right, with 2 DRS zones down to turn 1 and to turn 4, where the drivers approach them at excess of 215 miles an hour down a kilometre-long front straight. The 3 tyre compounds available for this race are the softest in the Pirelli range. The Hypers, Ultras and Supers are all on show, with variants in tyre strategy predicted. 2-stop is the way to go, but if drivers are better on their tyres, do not rule out a 1-stop and a possible race-defining moment due to their strategy. I think that pretty much covers it for the intro. All is left is to welcome my co-commentator for this race, which isn't Jens. Unfortunately, he is out with a cold, which means that, once again, I am joined in the commentary box by Haydn. How are you feeling ahead of tonight's race?
I'm feeling excited, obviously, welcome. And yeah, well, as we've just found out, it's a wet qualifying session, which is going to be interesting because I know quite a few people in this race have done a lot of dry practice, so it might throw a thing into the mix.
Definitely wet qualifying. I mean, it can happen in Mexico. We did see in real life, I'm pretty sure, FP3 was quite wet, but nothing in qualifying of the race. So it's definitely mixed up things, and drivers probably weren't expecting this. So it might be completely new to them, and I'm not even sure if drivers even have a wet setup, which means you have to adjust and spend a bit more time in the pit lane than they would probably like, especially with those conditions. They all need to be out there, and they need to get used to these track conditions, which are severely different compared to the dry.
Yeah, obviously it'll be about, well, we're not sure what the conditions are in the race yet, but it'll be about choosing between a wet and dry setup for the race. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting qualifying session to watch. It's going to be mixed up. As you see, Marba's already retired from the session. I'm not sure if that was, I think that was an on-purpose retirement looking at it. I'm not sure how you could have accidentally retired just exiting the pits, but you never know.
He may have had a qualifying ban actually.
He may have, yes.
So he didn't attend USA. I think he picked up one in Suzuka for retiring and not giving a really valid reason to leave, which can happen. So he's out, and he's going to start, hopefully for him, last and not behind someone else. As, yeah, we just getting to the first part of this qualifying session. It's a dry race actually, so I wonder if anyone's going to gamble on a maybe dry setup, which might hurt the car and the tyres in this qualifying session. Everyone's just pretty much starting or about to start their flying laps. Kane might be the one to first cross the line, but he crashed onto the pit straight there. He just loses it, and that is front wing gone. He's about to start his lap, and it was over pretty much before it got going. And that's front wing damage, carbon fiber off his McLaren, and it does come back to bite you. He just overestimated the traction needed, or the traction not needed on the final corner, and that is where he pulls off to the side, and that is his first attempt in qualifying wrecked.
Yeah, that's really not what he would have wanted in this session, but at least he didn't lose a wheel, and at least he can come back to the pits and get that front wing repaired. Looking on board with Zerd, it looks like the conditions are a bit treacherous. It might be on the edge at the moment between inters and full wets. It looks very slippery out there on those inters at the moment.
Look how much he's tiptoeing his way through these very slow corners. And through the S section is going to be a massive challenge to see how he takes it. Obviously, this S section is very notorious of where drivers pick up their warnings and their penalties. We could see a lot of penalties in today's race. Hope we have our notepads ready, because positions at the end might be decided thanks to penalties like it was in USA 1 week ago. But actually making his way quite nicely into the stadium section and to sector 3. He could be one of the first to set a lap time. Actually, no, Eli does. He does a 1:27.5. Rayner does not beat that. He does go quicker, but his lap did get invalidated. Rise it now. That's one way to assert your authority on this qualifying session. P1 at the moment, but it gets beaten by Zerd. The two championship rivals, 1 and 2 at the moment. And it's 5-10 between Zerd ahead of Rise. That's very interesting. Adira Cozzie now slots himself in 3rd place, just ahead of his teammate.
Yeah, that was looked like quite a neat lap with Zerd there. I'm sure I'd be happy with that, but there's always room to improve, as we see Cryzix has now slotted himself into 2nd. With Return now as well, we'll have to see what he can do. It looks like his pace could be quite good in this race, and he may end up playing a second fiddle role to Zed to help him just confirm that championship today. Although I'd imagine that probably won't be necessary. As you see, he has a big slide through the last corner there, and he ends up 4th on almost a second off his teammate there, actually. I'm sure that slide out of the last corner lost him quite a bit of time, though.
So speaking of the championship permutations, Zerd can win the championship this race if he finishes 4th or higher. Ryzen has to come on the podium to salvage any hope of continuing the championship into Brazil. But yeah, it's pretty much certain that Zerd will probably win the championship either this race or in Brazil. It's all about if he can seal it in style, to be honest. If he can win this race and carry on his winning streak, which is currently 2 races. He won in Suzuka and in Kota as well. And Zerd looking in fine form already. 6/10, well, actually no, 2/10, because Ryzen actually has improved in his time. He's a 1:25.1. So it's not all plain sailing for Zerd at the moment. Ryzen's still on his tail like he should be, and like he needs to be. He has to win this race pretty much, as Zerd is going to carry on that form. And speaking of that, Cryzix actually goes pole. 1:24.9 as well. About 600 ahead of Zerd. So it's shaping up to be one hell of a qualifying session.
Yeah, as expected with the wet conditions. I'd be imagining with a dry race that they're all going to just go on a dry setup and prioritise the race, because at least for this year there's no points to be scored in qualifying, which it won't be the same next year, but they will definitely be prioritising the race in this session, and that might explain why the cars look like very difficult to drive at the moment, because there is a big difference in this game between wet and dry setups. As we see, actually Cryzix, has gone fastest as well. Did we already say that? I can't remember. But anyway.
I did.
Oh, okay. But now we've got Zerd coming into the last sector. It looks quite busy coming through here. You see Kane, after his incident earlier, is now back on. I'm sure he's about to start a flying lap. Yeah. And actually Zerd goes into the pits. He obviously feels like that lap wasn't good enough to continue with.
Well, Kane actually's on board his lap, and we might as well go on board with him as he takes us through the 2.6 mile 16 corner circuit here in Mexico, breaking into turn 1. Keep it nice and tight through here. It's very easy to get an invalid lap time over the oscilloscope, as Cryzix actually goes 1:24.5. Now that is a time and a half, and Rayner actually is now in 2nd, ahead of Zerd at 1:24.5, 4/10 clear of the two guys in 2nd and 3rd, as Kane makes his way through turn 4 and turn 5. He's missed the past 2 races So we're looking to come back with a bounce, with a vengeance here in Mexico, and one way to do that in qualifying is set a good lap and maybe put himself amongst the guys at the top, but he goes wide coming into the S section. That might have ruined his lap, but I think he's going to carry on with it. Still in hot lap mode in the ERS, he's mixed his way through the S section and now coming down towards sector 3 in the tricky stadium section where overtaking is extremely limited and you need to get your braking point spot on for this corner. Set yourselves up for a little kink of 14 before making your way into the final corner of turn 15 and through the kink of 16. Out of the final corner, he doesn't do what he did prior to that, and he crossed the line to go 8th fastest with a 1:26.4. But he's got 5/10 again to get up to Return, who will currently start alongside him on the 4th row. And it's going to be quite a 2-horse race, 3-horse race in qualifying between Cryzix, Rayner and Zerd, but again, don't count out Ryzen. He's in the championship hunt for a reason.
Yep, obviously. As you see, a big slide for Lazzaro coming out of the last turn there, and he actually inserts himself just in front of Return.
It's very interesting. 5/10 between Lazzaro and Return. So Return going to have to pick up the pace if he wants to provide any wingman sort to his teammate, who's currently in 3rd position, who's currently might be able to start on a flying lap. Only 9 minutes left of this session. The conditions don't look to be improving whatsoever, so I think it's going to be intermediates until the checkered flag falls in just under 9 minutes time. I don't think the wet conditions are necessary, but who knows? The drivers know more than we do probably. We're not weather experts, I don't think, so bit of a guessing game for us as commentators. But Zerd is starting his flying lap now. About half the drivers are on either in the pits or on track right now. Ryzen's just a bit further up the road than Zerd, but he's on his out lap. Hopefully they won't come into a tangle, especially in qualifying, because that could result maybe a grid penalty. We did see that in Suzuka where Robert got a grid penalty clashing with Cryzix from the on pole as Ryzen gets out of the way very neatly indeed. Zerd carries on his lap to 30.3 in the first sector, which was about the same time he did in his first attempt. Obviously, I think it's sector 2 where he's lost his time and where he needs to bring it back up again. So coming into this S section now, 5th gear he takes. That's very interesting. Thought 4th gear might have been the optimal gear through there, but no, he's keeping it nice and flowing through these corners in 5th gear, and now he shifts up to about 7th before braking into the stadium section on the curb and then clipping the curb on entry on the apex, and now heading into the left hand, locking up 1st gear to 2nd gear. And don't get full power just yet until you're fully comfortable with the exit of this final corner. And back on the power for Zerd. Where does it go? It's a 1:24.3 and he gets back onto pole position, 2/10 clear of Cryzix. I think Cryzix's task now is to try and respond to that audacious lap from Zerd, and he could be on course to get his 4th pole position of the season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, Cryzix, if I remember rightly, is quite a good driver in the wet as well. If I remember rightly, back to Russia, was it, where he won in the wet? So it'll be interesting to watch. But that was a very good lap from Zerd there to go. Well, an improvement of almost 8/10, which put him on pole there. Must have been a very good lap, and has put him on pole by over 2/10. So I'm sure he'll be happy with that. Cryzix is now on his flying lap. Each driver will probably have 2 or 3 laps till the end of the session from here, if they don't have to pit or just exiting the pits. So there's still a lot of time for things to change. We'll just have to see if they actually do.
Yeah, Zerd went 5/10 quicker in the 2nd sector alone, which just shows how much time he can still find in these ever gruesome wet conditions here in Mexico's. Cryzix now makes his way through that 2nd sector. Oh, a little bit of tank slap on the exit there, but it's all good and dandy for the man looking to maybe take his 3rd victory of the season. He won obviously in Russia That was his last victory, and since then it has been Zerd winning the last 2 races, and he actually backs off. And he's going to go for it again, a second out lap. Who's looking to be impressive right now? Ryzen is starting his flying lap right now. Rayner coming through turn 3 at the moment. Has anyone caught your eye at the moment, Hayden?
Not at the moment. I just noticed maybe Kryzik's backed off because it looked like right at the last second there through the penultimate actual corner of the lap, it looked like he possibly invalidated it. So that'll be frustrating for him. Rayner looks like he's had quite a neat sector 1 so far. I haven't seen turn 1, 2 and 3, but that last complex of turns was very neat. Of course, this middle sector is where the time's either gain or lost, and he's taking it in 5th gear, just like Zerd did actually. So maybe that is the way to go, and he's very neat, pushing the track limits to the absolute limit. As you see, an improvement happens behind him there, but he's coming into the last sector. That was a bit wide, missing that apex. He wouldn't have wanted to do that. It's going to be important to hit this next one because it's important for your slingshot through these next 2 corners, and he hasn't done it too badly. He's actually backed off there, or made a mistake, either one. It looks more like a backing off to me. And he's now going to give this another shot and see if he can improve on this lap.
Ryzen goes second fastest with another 1:24.3. Getting very nicely congested at the top, very heated between Zerd and Ryzen. This is a perfect circumstance for these two as Cryzik makes way around the final corner, sliding towards the line. 3rd place only at the moment for the Frenchman in the Renault, and he's about 1.5 tenths off Zerd's provisional pole time. But yeah, Zerd and Ryzen being 1 and 2 on the grid in what could be a championship decider. Ryzen knows what he has to do, and he has to probably get pole position, but it looks very in reach, to be honest. Only what, 400ths off Zerd, so that you can definitely find time to make up there. I don't think it's going to be on this attempt, as it's very wide through the S section, so he could be backing off.
Yeah, he's also running very low on his ER. So this is a short lap, so he might actually have enough time to come in and pit. And I think they have 3 sets of intermediates, don't they? If not, just to put in another load of fuel for the end of the session. So I'd imagine he will just pit into the pits here. Maybe he was running in hot lap just to fill the track a bit more. Although the conditions haven't changed, the track grip will always be ever changing, so he'll want to be as up to date as he can be with that. As you see, actually, Kryzik's also on in lap, and Rayner's gone fastest.
There we go then, 1:24.2. So he's the first one to dip into the 1:24.2 range, and Zerd will be seeing that on his screen, and he needs to react to that because the last thing he wants is someone ahead of him, and Ryzen as well. Rayner then, on course, take his 2nd pole position of this season. Unlike in Suzuka, he'll be looking to turn that into a strong result. And hopefully for him, weather does not become an issue in the race like it did in Suzuka. But that's a very strong time, and he's up there with the big guns, and looking to assert his position at the top of the standings. Well, not the championship standings, obviously not going to be possible, but the standings of this race. So yeah, very good lap time from Rayner, and the question is now, can Zerd and Ryzen respond? Ryzen has to come out quickly, otherwise he won't be able to set a lap time. And right on cue, he comes out of the pit lane.
Yep. This should ride on board probably with Zerd. He's going to have 2 more laps to the end of the session, and these are going to be 2 very important laps for him here. Rayner was actually one of the favourites for pole in this race in the dry, and he seems to actually be able to live up to that in the wet as well, apparently. So maybe it's just a good track overall for him, as that was a big cut, and I think Zerd's invalidated his lap there. He would have not wanted to do that. He's going to save his ERS, going to have to give it another shot next lap. So we've got a yellow flag in sector 2. I think that's just Ryzen letting Zerd through. As we actually see Cryzik's, I'm not sure if he started. It looks like he's about to finish a lap, and we're going to have to see what this time is. It's currently on a 24.4. What's this going to be across the line? It's a tiny improvement of 700ths of a second. And he actually feels like he can out-improve on that, or is either out of fuel. So he'll be starting at best in 4th place in this race.
He's got a 6/10 advantage to his teammate Latsera, who climbs his way up from about 8th or 9th to 5th position provisionally. The 125 flat, so it looks like a 2 table race for qualifying, because the top 4 are pretty much in a league of their own, as Lazzaro actually crashes and loses a bit of front wing on the entry to turn 12. So he looks to be starting 5th at best. The third making his way round the final corner. Is it going to be good enough for pole position? No, it's not. But it's going to have a chance to go again, as does Ryzen. They're both pretty much very closely together on track. They're only about 3-4 seconds ahead up the road on his championship protagonist. So it's going to be interesting to see if these two can respond. Can anyone respond in their own league as well? I think no. Coach is actually going to make his way around the final sector and finish his lap, as the checkered flag has come out now. So session is over. Can Coach make his way from 13th to a better position come the start of the race? Round the final corner he comes now, up towards the line. It is an improvement, but only by 1 position. 0.6 improvement, but only 12 position, as Eli has backed off on his lap. Third is coming round towards the S section, returns a bit further up on the lap. Richie B is very further up on the lap compared to both Hasses, making his way through the final corner of 16. Richie B had a great strategy call in USA. Where's he going to start today's race? 10th at best. Eli actually backed off, so he's going to start probably 10th. Return making his way round the final corner now in 7th place at the moment. This could be a big jump up the order. It is 5th place, so he gets ahead of his championship Lazzaro, the FAP teammates, as Zer comes round the final corner now. It is not an improvement for Zer, it's 2nd place at best. Can Ryzen challenge him? No. Ryzen has backed off on his lap. Ryzen will start 3rd as Kane, the last driver to complete a lap, in 8th position. And Rayner does indeed take his 2nd pole position of the season, and it's a very close qualifying indeed between the top 4.
Yeah, that was, as expected, a good qualifying session there. And let's just see if that can be followed up now in the race. Hopefully with the order slightly mixed up, then it could be quite interesting. Yeah, just waiting to see the full results now.
There we have it. Rayner on pole position with 124.2. Zerd 44,000 behind him in 2nd position, with Ryzen closely behind. 1.5 tenths separating the top 4. Return a bit further back, but still in 5th position, which is a good place to start the race alongside his FAP teammates Lazzaro in the Renault. Haydn and Kane keep to the company on row 4, with Big Boss and Richie B rounding out the top 10. Eli, Game Mode, Dirkoti, and Marb completes the 14-man grid for the start of what should be a dry race and what should be a very entertaining race as well. There we go. The clouds are pretty much in distance and the sun is out here in Mexico.
Completely different day to yesterday, and we're going to have to hope for a good race here and hope the formation is lappers on this week. And yeah, previously round this track, Zerd hasn't been very good in the wet, looking back to his previous results in Season 14 F4. So he'll be looking to be better in the dry here again, and if he lives up to that, hopefully he'll be on for a win in this race.
Definitely. If he wants to win the championship, he would like to win it in style. Not like his favourite driver, Lewis Hamilton, in 2017, obviously. Came over in 9th after that tangle at turn 1. There's going to be a mad dash towards turn 1. It's so long, the front straight. We could see side-by-side action down the field and into the braking zone. It could be a huge melee stampede as the formation lap is thankfully on. So we can see the drivers get out on their formation lap and, crucially, see what tyres everyone is on, as everyone has 3 choices tyre wear. And interestingly, Rayner is starting on the Hypersoft tyres, as is Lazzaro, Haydn and Big Boss. And everyone else is on the purple striped Ultrasofts, apart from Kane, on the Super Soft tyres, which we probably hope to go longer in this race. And maybe go on to the Ultrasofts at the end, and then everyone else has a reverse strategy to the McLaren on the Ultrasofts and go on to the Super Soft, maybe do a 1-stop. But clearly, guys on the Hypersofts are very keen to do the 2-stop, which could be effective if they can slice their way through the traffic.
Yeah, if there isn't much traffic for Rayner, that could be interesting, and obviously a very long run down to turn 1, so starting on the softer tyres will be a lot bigger of an advantage than usual, due to the length of that run into turn 1 and how important the start will be to decide, really. Of course, overtaking is possible around this track, which is partially what makes the 2-stop so viable around here. So I'm sure he'll be looking to do that. As they all come through the stadium section of the lap now. Ryzen getting very close to the back of there. I'm sure he'll want to be that close into turn 1, if not ahead. And yeah, it's all about just lining up on the grid now. Hopefully they've all got decent tyre temps, and getting that all-important launch into turn 1.
Yeah, Ryzen, I think it's crucial. The race can't be decided. You can't win the race on the first lap, as they say, but you can lose it. And that'll be deep in the minds of Zerd and Ryzen, respectively. Ryzen, the aim is simple, to beat Zerd, and Zerd, the aim is simple, to win the championship. As all 14 drivers are lined up on the grid here in Mexico. 3 rounds to go of this season. Let's crown a champion here tonight with 5 red lights ahead of the drivers. And it's lights out and away we go, and Rayner gets a very good jump. Zerd not so good. Cozzi1, in fact, pulling out to the inside as you all head down towards turn 1. Ryzen's getting in the mix as well. Ryzen in second place at the moment. Returns actually getting interested in the front scrap. In towards turn 1. Rayner leads from Ryzen, has got ahead. Zerd's going side by side with his teammates.
Oh, no!
Come together. Both drivers come together. Oh, it's an absolute worst case scenario for Gunter Stein and the Hasti. Return gets spun around by his teammates, and Zerd will be playing in that in the back of his mind. That is not what he wanted. Return back in the field, but Richie B's been caught up with an incident, probably with his Dutch compatriot. Lazzaro now makes his way up into 4th position. Cozzi1 lost out a little bit there in 5th. Big Boss in 6th. Hay made his way up to 7th, and Heitenen is down into 8th. And yeah, Eli has been overtaken by Return as well. So Return will not be happy with his teammates' actions there. I wonder if that'll be discussed internally in the debrief after the race. I'm sure they won't be happy with that whatsoever. Zerd, crucially, won't be happy about the fact that Ryzen is now ahead of him, and Ryzen did the perfect, he did what he had to do, get ahead of Zerd. But can Zerd maybe fight back for this position? Heading down towards turn 1, slipstream is so effective. And look at the gap Rayner's got on the style, but here comes Zerd, side by side with his championship rival. Heading into turn 1, Ryzen forced him to the outside line, but Zerd will turn to the inside for turn 2, and there we go, he's got his man already. So after losing it at turn 1 last lap, he regains it at turn 2 this time, and that is Zerd up into 2nd position in today's race, ahead of Ryzen. Brilliant moving between the two of them, and thankfully they kept it clean.
Yep, thankfully. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this race plays out. And Zerd will probably be looking to get out of that DRS range if he can, and he seems to be heading very well for that at the moment. Already having created a 6/10 gap. And Rayner in this whole starting period, obviously he is on the hyper soft tyres, but he's got away very well, 2 seconds up at the end of lap 2. Excuse me, that's exactly what he would have wanted. And actually Zerd has already got that 1.1 second gap. I wonder if Ryzen possibly has a bit of wing damage, because I wouldn't be expecting this sort of pace from him.
Yeah, that's Sarah's. Ryzen's fallen really into clutches of the 2 Renaults. Now DRS is enabled. Ryzen could be under threat from the 2 banana cars. He's got a great scrap in USA last time out with Rain. Oh, that's who's going to dive on the inside. He thought about a bit of a half-hearted attempt from him, but he gave Ryzen a little bit of a scare there, and Ryzen kind of had to leave him room. Thankfully, they didn't come into contact. That last arrow, he can't make a mistake now, because he will fall into the clutches of his teammate Cozzi1, and Cozzi1 needs no second invitation to walk through an open door, especially when it's his teammate. He'll race hard, and crucially for Cozzi1, he'll race very fair indeed. He's a race winner for a reason, and he'll be looking to get past his teammates, who is on the hypersoft tyres, remember, so he needs to get the jump really on Ryzen, because Ryzen's clearly holding the two Renault guys up as Lazaro goes extremely wide, coming out of turn 11 as Rayner's got a comfortable margin at the front. 2.5 seconds between himself and Zerd is exactly what I need to do. Being on those hypersoft tyres, being ahead is crucial as Haydn and Mob are going side by side into the stadium section. We don't have to see overtaking to do here. The Mob's trying to do it on the Sauberman, going wheel to wheel, coming into the final corner of 16. They're still going pedal to the metal, but Haydn might just have the edge. But we need to go back up to the front because that's Sarah coming under pressure from his teammate Kreisig, whose game mode has unfortunately left us in the session. He's down in 13th place at the moment. Lazaro can't go for a move, but Kane and Haydn are squabbling. They're going 3 wide heading into turn 1. Kane just about staying ahead, return after having that collision with his teammates. Trying to get past these two squabbling for 7th position. They're going to go 3 wide coming out of turn 3. The McLaren, the Sauber and the Haas going wheel to wheel to wheel down towards turn 4. Oh, it's going to get very hairy into this braking zone, but return, super move there.
What a great
into
move.
Turn 4. Getting past both of them at one go. And Kane and Haydn is still going side by side. Haydn really loving this action so far, but he's lost out to return. That was a super move coming into turn 4, and that's exactly what he needs to do to try and regain the positions he lost at the start.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needed. That was an amazing move, Danny Rick-esque. I know Danny Rick's your man, but it's definitely like that. As you go back up to the front, they're still very close, and Lazaro will start to be getting frustrated because he probably only has 2 or so more laps to be able to get past Ryzen here before it starts really affecting his race quite badly, as he'll want to be pitting in a minimum of 3 laps. So you see, actually his teammate is getting a better run on him, and that's not what he would have wanted there, but hopefully Kreisig is going to be able to have that better run than Lazaro could have at Ryzen. As you see, actually Lazaro has just picked up his penalty there, so that will also quite badly affect his race on the 2-stop.
I'm sensing some tactics at Renault to maybe get Kreisig ahead of Lazaro. Just couldn't get past Ryzen even with the softer compound tyres, and he really started to struggle in the latter part of those pink tyre stint. As Big Boss now on the tail of this train for 3rd position, which Ryzen leads. This is not what he wants at the moment. Zerd will be champion. 3 seconds between 1st and 2nd, and it's 2.5 between Ryzen and Zerd for 2nd and 3rd. As here, yeah, Kreisig is much more a threat to Ryzen, I think. And Kreisig will be looking to size up a move, going down towards turn 1. We need to get a good exit out of this final corner and then unleash that Renault beast onto the start-finish straight. You have DRS, slipstream, ERS up to full. And he's going to pull out to the inside. Ryzen does not defend at all there. He's just given Kreisig an open door. And as I said, Kreisig does not need a second invitation to walk through an open door. And it just shows it there. Going into turn 1, he takes 3rd place off Ryzen's hands. As Haydn in return is still squabbling. So as one Sauber loses the position, another one gains it in return. Has lost that place, making that brilliant move. Kind of all for nothing as Haydn retakes place on return, as his yellow flag somewhere. Oh, it's Diricoti. He spun out of turn 3, and that is no front wing whatsoever on that Red Bull in his race. It's a virtual safety car into Floyd. Now that is very interesting for the hypersoft runners, because if that comes out, that's still out by the time that Rayner makes his way through the pits. They're not going to lose much time, are they? And they might be in a good position come the end of the race with strategy and everything.
Yeah, that's perfectly timed for him if it stays out. On lap 6 of the race, he would have been looking at pitting and how his tyres were. The gaps, of course, are a bit artificially inflated because they are going slower, so I won't look at those at the moment. As you actually see, Rayner does intelligently pull into the pits there, and let's hope he doesn't get any glitch speeding penalties, which he has not. The virtual safety car is still out, and actually Zerd's, interestingly, chose to come into the pits as well here. So he might be trying to mirror Rayner here, and he sees him more as a threat than anyone else. And he really doesn't want to lose any time to him.
No, that's also comes into the pits. It's super soft tyres. Adiras just get enabled right now. That's perfect because Rayner's just made his way out of the pit lane, but Mob and Kane are going side by side. Thankfully for Rayner, a few more seconds and he would have been behind these two squabbling. as Zerd comes out in 9th and with Blatzer out in 10th, as yeah, Kane does get the better measure of Mob in 6th and 7th. So right now, Kryzix leads the Grand Prix ahead of Horizon and Big Boss, rounding out the podium with Return in 4th and Rayner in 5th. Only 11 seconds off the lead after pitting under the virtual safety car. That could be a strategic masterstroke come the end of the race, but we still have 29 or maybe 30 laps to go of this race as there's yellow flag somewhere in Sector 2. It's for Big Boss. Oh no, what has happened to Big Boss? He might have just had a slidey moment in the S section on those wearing hyper soft tyres. I think he might be left to rue not pitting under the virtual safety car because now he's got a place to return and he's lost crucial seconds in his bid to get a good point scoring streak as Zerd actually adds his name to the penalty board list in the process.
That's interesting, unlike him. Oh, I'm intrigued to why Big Boss didn't pit during that, because as you can see, his tyres are on fire now. Oh, and he's crashed! Coming out of the last corner there. I wonder what's happened there for him to end up in that outside wall. Luckily though, he really does not have far to go to get into the pits with that broken front wing, but he's definitely lost enough time from spinning there and hitting the wall. So he's going to have to do something special now to get back onto that podium.
Or to get points for that matter, because he's going to be right down the field of
point.
game mode. Fortunately for him, is not going to be a threat at all. He's out of the race. But yeah, Big Boss, massive shame for him. Thankfully he didn't hit the pit wall like someone. But yeah, down in 12th position, really gone wretched for him in the past few laps. As Marl has his name to the penalty board list, and yeah, Rayner 10.6 seconds off the lead, and only a second behind Return. So Return probably playing this strategically. He can tell Zerd he's going to get stuck behind the traffic, and he will be in a battle between himself and Rayner, but can Return hold Rayner up? It's going to be difficult, but I think Return could hold him up for maybe one more lap, but Rayner's flying on the set of super soft tyres and Return. Can't be said. Yeah, massive lock of the front wheels there into turn 13. He could be a sitting duck on this front straight now, as Rayner will activate DRS right about now, tucking into the slipstream of Return, pulling out to the inside, breezing past the Haas, and up into 3rd place goes the Williams.
We'll have to see if he's going to fight back through this next section of corners, but I think his ultra softs are just starting to go off a little bit. He really doesn't seem to have the grip that Rayner does on his fresh super softs, and yeah, you can see he just can't fight that back. In Zed now, he's now again got 3 cars in between him and Rayner, although I'm sure it's effectively only 2 cars that he's going to have to overtake at this point in the race. But that is very important because he's still going to be losing quite a bit of time to Rayner, having to follow this traffic. As you can see for the middle sector, he's just literally almost pushing Marb through these corners, as is his pace advantage on those fresh supers. And it's going to be really frustrating with him. Mob's all over the road, and this is all the time costing him a lot of time. And that's not what he wants. Is that Zara gets another penalty, and Mob goes off the road there, and yeah, I'm sure he'll give up the position there. There's no point in fighting that. He'll lose more time fighting it. And now, luckily for him, he only really has Kane in front of him, who he might be able to deal with on this front stretch here.
Yeah, the second sector is a place where you do not want to be stuck behind a slower car, and unfortunately for Zerd, that was the case behind Mob. He looked to be like messed up, all of his tyres, they're just weaving all over the shop. But here comes Zerd on the back of Kane. I think it's a bit too close to challenge for a move in turn 1, but he's going to go for it. Kane defends the inside line. Zerd trying to find it round the outside. It's turn 2, inside for turn 3, and I think with better traction and better stability on those tyres, he can comfortably get past Kane. That was a very half-hearted move in turn 1. But Kane saw a sense of just leaving him the room, because the last thing he wants to do is get caught up in a battle or maybe lose a place to Mob, who's right behind them. And yeah, Zerd now 6 seconds adrift of Rayner after losing all that time. He'll have Return to get past sooner rather than later, 3.2 seconds between the 2 Haas drivers. I wonder if Return might show a bit of revenge after Zerd. Well, we're not really sure what happened in the first corner incident, but it did look a bit controversial. Return obviously lost out significantly, and he probably wouldn't be where he is right now if he didn't come into contact with Zerd. But that is racing at the end of the day, and he's lost out. And right now, he's in 4th position at the moment, splitting Rayner and Zerd, the guys who've already pitted.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see a lap ago, Rayner putting in the fastest lap of the race, and Zerd was still lapping cars, and well, when they came into the pits, they were on the aggregate probably about 3 seconds apart, and now they're almost well, they are 6 seconds apart, so yeah, it's not gone well for him here. It's Heitinen's retired from the race. We have to see what's happened to him. I'm not sure. His car's already seems to have disappeared. I wonder if he's just come into the pits and retired, or hit the pit wall. One of the two. And yeah, you can see at the rate of which that Zerd's closing this gap down to return. And they are good friends, so I don't think there'll be any sort of revenge, but maybe return might not make it as easy as he possibly would have done if he didn't get spun by his teammate at the start of the race.
Well, it would be interesting if Zerd can react to that fastest lap by Rayner. Because if he can show that he can, on pace, get past Rayner. But obviously it's a big gap between them, 6.4 seconds at the moment. As look, he's in DRS range at the moment. I think he won't have DRS on this straight because the detection point was a bit further back around turn 12, turn 13. So he won't have DRS to attack his teammate. But I think in the next lap or so, we will see a swap between Return and Zerd in this race. As Return just chugging along, to be honest, on that ultra soft tyre stint. And he's made his way up into 4th, very nicely indeed. And he gets a massive tank step on the exit of turn 3, which could just let Zerd get past him down the inside, and will Return fight for this. Bit very strange how Return locked up and letting him pass. Zerd probably didn't expect it from him. That's very interesting because they are probably in a big communication between each other. But yep, regardless, Zerd is now up to 4th position. Return down to 5th. And now it's the chase really. Can Zerd catch up to Rayner, who's 6.3 seconds ahead of him right now? It's going to be about pushing for Zerd as he bids for his first World Championship.
Yeah, just also interesting to see Cryzix and Ryzen also on the one stops. They're not far ahead, but when they come into the pits, if they're still ahead of Rayner and Zerd, and actually as we see Cryzix has come into the pits, so at the moment he's in theory ahead of these two. And I'm not sure if Cryzix there has fitted the same tyres that he had on before. I'm pretty sure he started on Ultras, so I don't know what I'm on about there. But yeah, so Zerd's got to stop again, and Cryzix hasn't. He's obviously got to pass a lot of cars during his stint as well though, so that'll be interesting. But you never know how it could play out for these one-stoppers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because they could be sitting ducks at the end of the race where the tyre wear will really become an issue. Right now, Cryzix has just been let past by Eli, which I presume is probably because they're both French and Eli obviously has a good relationship with Cryzix. So I think the last thing he wants to do is to come into contact both on different strategies, of course. Eli still yet to come into the pits, as the gap actually between the Ryzen and Rayner is less than a second, as Lazzo adds another penalty to his list. Could be seeing another disqualification in this race. I hope not, because that would not be good points for Renault in their bid to be 4th in the Constructors' Championship. But on board with Rayner now, 7/10 the gap between himself and Ryzen. Ryzen going extremely defensive. Obviously, he shows an intent to stay ahead of Rayner for the time being, but it looks like Rayner is running quite a bit of wing on his car, because he didn't really gain a lot on that straight, even with DRS. Or I might have not just been running in a very high ERS mode, but coming out of turn 3, you can just see the difference in traction, in grip on those tyres, and Ryzen heading down towards turn. Rayner trying to go for that little gap on the inside. Ryzen was having absolutely none of it. Now in towards turn 5, he has the inside line to go around the outside at turn 4. And I think that is job done for Rayner, who has indeed got ahead of Ryzen. And Rayner takes the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. Great move there to get ahead of Ryzen. Pretty much the first opportunity. And that is once again a car between Rayner and Zerd in the battle for probably the lead of the race at the moment.
Yep. Ryzen will probably be looking to come in this lap. His tyres look pretty dead now, I'm not going to lie. And Zerd's closed up a lot. He's gained quite a bit out of that. Well, he's gained about 5/10, and he's actually got his second penalty of the race. And I'm not sure if Rayner has any penalties in this race.
He doesn't.
So Rayner looks in very good shape at the moment to possibly be winning this race. See Ryzen's losing an awful lot of time. Less than a lap ago he got past and he's already 2 seconds down from Rayner, so the tyres are completely gone off and he stayed out for another lap for some reason, so he obviously feels like he needs to do that to be able to have the tyres working with him at the end of the race. Yeah, Zerd is already within 4 seconds. If he doesn't pit within the next few laps, Zerd might actually have to overtake Ryzen as well.
Yeah, Lazzaro caught in some traffic, nearly lose it coming out of turn 3. Trying to get past Kane in the McLaren on those wearing super soft tyres. He's going to try to dive up the inside of turn 4. It's late, it's brave, it's bold. Can he pull it off though? It's not quite beautiful, but the switchback coming out of turn 5, standing up the inside of turn 6. And that is a brilliant move to get past Kane. Nudges him out. Yeah, textbook move there from Lazzaro to get past the McLaren of Kane. And now his teammate, or his fat teammate, Return, is ahead of him in the Haas. And he's one we haven't been focusing on, to be honest, but he's on the exact same strategy as Zerd and Ryzen, but instead he's gone for the ultra soft tyres instead of the super soft tyres. That means he'll probably run the super soft tyres when Zerd and Rayner use the ultra soft tyres for their final stint of the race. But yeah, he could get past Return in this lap, but Return actually dives into the pits, makes it a little bit easier for Lazzaro. He's got clean air down the front straight and down the straight towards turn 4. What's happened to Return?
He's picked up a 5-second penalty there. Just going a bit over, as you see actually Cryzix importantly gets past Kane here, coming into turn 1. We'll have to see if Lazzaro fights it. They are on different strategies, so I don't think Lazzaro's probably going to fight this too much with his teammate, but you never know. He does actually decide to go defensive, but Cryzix seems to be running lower wings. He's going to have to go the long way round, but on his fresher tyres, I wouldn't be surprised to see him do this. It's very close to wheel contact there. And he's going to go for the cutback again, but Lazzaro there does not have the tyres to make the cutback work. And now for Cryzix, it's all about pumping in consistently fast laps to help him towards the end of the race on that one stop. If he can get these consistent fast laps in, he could be in a good place in the last few laps to be a contender for winning this race.
Oh, and Zerd's got past Ryzen. So Zerd has indeed had to pass the Sauber, and it was in towards turn 12, it should have been. Otherwise, that would have been a very strange manoeuvre into turn 13, as Ryzen does come into the pits then to serve as one and only stop of the evening. And he's going to file out way behind Cryzix, who would have been battling if he didn't wait that long to come into the pits. So pit on a set. I think that's just a glitch. Yeah, I'm on the screen. Yeah, he comes out on the set of super soft tyres. Back out once more onto the racetrack goes Ryzen, back out in 6th position. To be honest, quite a lot of clean air to try and pump in those fast laps like you need to be doing. Because at the moment, once again, Zerd will be winning the championship. And right now, it's going to take a miracle to stop Zerd winning the championship this race and taking it to Brazil next time out, as Ryzen already picks himself a 3-second time penalty on their fresh super soft tyres.
Yeah, and Rayner as well has managed to pull a 9.4 second gap already, and he's in a very good place now to be winning this race. He's had amazing pace, and yeah, I'd definitely be putting my money on Rayner right now if I was betting on this race, which I'm not, unfortunately. But yeah, and Cryzix is within the pit window, and I'd imagine after the pit stops he'll come out about, considering that gap doesn't get any bigger and only gets smaller, I'd imagine he'll come about 8-9 seconds ahead of Rayner. So he's in a good place, but you've got to remember that Rayner's rapid at the moment, and he's going to be coming out on some fresh ultra softs towards the end of the race. So yeah, in those last few laps, it could be quite close for the lead of the race.
Yeah, we saw in the Oceania race, Codemasters tried the 2-stop but couldn't get the lead of the Grand Prix when it mattered. He has to settle for second best, and that might be on Rayner's mind, to be honest. The gap between himself and Cryzix is 15, just under 50 seconds at the moment. The pit window is probably about 20, 21 seconds, maybe a bit more here in Mexico. So at the moment, it'll come out about 7 seconds behind Cryzix. So Cryzix has the provisional lead of the Grand Prix when both the front runners to come into the pits, but they might go quite a few laps more, as Lazzaro actually might be darting into the pits in a few moments' time because he's on quite wearing ultra soft tyres and might try and extend this stint to maybe go on the ultra soft tyres again at the end of the race. I don't know if it's possible. Super soft tyres are obviously more optimal because they last a lot longer, but it might be possible for the Renaults. In 4th place at the moment, Renault currently 3rd and 4th, which is a great result, which will plummet them way up in the constructor standings. Currently in 4th place at the moment. So yeah, right now 3rd and 4th at the moment, as everything seems to be settling down, to be honest. Not the only real gap, only real battle forming is for 10th position. Richie B only 6/10 ahead of Diracotti, with Richie B on 16-lap-old super soft tyres. Obviously, I had to pit very early on because of a collision, I'm assuming, with return on lap 1, and Diracotti on 11-lap-old super soft tyres. The Finn will be looking to get past the Dutchman, heading down towards turn 1. Nice to see a bit of action at the lower end of the field for the final points paying position. Can Diracotti try and move? You can see how effective that DRS is, but he just can't get past Richie B at the moment. But Richie B struggling with grip, and Diracotti his time might come now out of turn 3, as Richie B actually does get a 3-second time penalty to add to his woes. But can he add insult to injury by getting overtaken? Not just yet. He stays in 10th place at the moment in the battle for that final points paying position.
Yeah, it's a very close battle for these two for that last championship points, as Return has picked up a penalty there. Considering if Marb doesn't have any penalties, he may lose the position to him there. Yeah, he's looking good at the moment. He's going to pick up a couple of positions when pit stops happen in front of him. Arena is still flying, and in fact, Cozzi1 is catching up to Zerd. And Zerd probably won't be pitting for another lap or two, I'd imagine. So he may end up passing him on track, which won't be good for the British driver. So yeah, Cozzi1 is also looking really fast at the moment, and he's in fact got that gap to the leader down to about 14 seconds, in fact under 14 seconds, which is what he wants to be doing, and he's doing everything he needs to do right now to be within a good shot of winning this race.
He's rapid at the moment, he's looking in fine form at the moment. Gap between 2nd and 3rd is indeed 2.7 seconds, so he is clawing time. The gap, left, right and centre, to be honest. Zerd will have to look at his mirrors in a few laps time, as Marb adds another penalty to his elusive lift. As he had 2.6 seconds across the line. Cozzi1 is looking in fine form at the moment, and yet, as you pointed out, the gap between himself and Reina is crucially getting ever shorter and shorter as Lazzaro comes into the pits, as does Kane as well. So Lazzaro going to pit onto another set of ultra soft. No, it's a super soft tyres going onto the Renault. That's a very interesting strategy goal. I thought maybe ultra soft tyres because Kane is going onto those purple striped tyres. As Lazzaro fires that into the race, going to be close to himself on Eli, but Eli just has the position over the British Renault driver, and he'll come out back into the race proper in 8th position with Kane in 9th, and Richie B and game mode also comes into the pits. And Richie B will fire out in 12th position on the ultra soft tyres for his 1-second stop of the evening, I should say. Oh, that's interesting. Cozzi1 picks up a penalty. Now that's his first of the evening, I should say. Zerd obviously does have 2. Reina with 0 at the moment. He's in a league of his own, to be honest. He's doing anything Zerd can do in USA, Reina can do better because he's 10 seconds ahead of Zerd. We don't often see margins at the top this big, but yeah, he's proving a major issue to Zerd at the moment, and Cozzi1's becoming even a bigger issue for the Haasman, and he's clawed that gap from 2.6 at the line last lap to 1.9. So it's going to be interesting to see how quickly Cozzi1 can catch up to the back of Zerd and possibly overtake him.
Yeah, overtaking him he might not want to do, and if he gets lucky, which he might well do, he might be able to pick up the DRS on the lap where Zerd comes into the pit, so he gets a nice little boost of DRS down the straight. But doesn't have to overtake a car, which will be exactly what he wants. He's got to be looking for every last little piece of time that's on the table at this moment in the race. Yeah, Zerd will be pitting surely quite soon to pit onto the Ultrasofts and take them about well, 12, 13, 14 laps to the end of the race. And yeah, Cryzix is very close coming into this last sector actually, only 1.2 back coming through this very tight, very slow section, and in fact this is where his fresher tyres are really going to be advantageous for him. Through sector 1 it really doesn't mean much, as actually Zer comes into the pits. Very late decision it seemed there, and he's going to be pitting onto the Ultrasoft, and he, most importantly for him, didn't give Cryzix any DRS. He was just out of that little window that he had to be in.
Yeah, both runners on the charge. Lazzaro trying a move, heading into turn 12 on Eli, but Eli is giving an absolutely nothing in this battle for 8th position. But can Lazzaro go round the outside of the final corner? There's not that much room, but thankfully Eli gives him the space, gives him the track width, try and get past, and now heading down towards turn 1. Eli should probably be a sitting duck down the straight as Lazzaro pulls out to the inside, got DRS, got that power turned up to 11, but Eli's giving him a little nudge to the left-hand side, heading into turn 1, Lazzaro with the inside line, and comfortably getting past Eli. Take that 7th position in this race, and the two-stop strategy, well, yeah, we'll have to see if it's going to be a success or not, because he's got 3.1 seconds to gain on Mob to get past him once again. Mob been shooting on nicely in this race in 6th position at the moment, which is probably a very good result in turn for him. It's not been the best season so far for Mob. We'll be looking to get strong results for Ozone Esports as Rain actually comes into the pits and he goes onto the Ultrasoft tyres, as that's another penalty for Zerd. Pretty sure that's his third one this race, which is not going to bode well if he wants to get past Rayner on track, or even tank penalties. That's what, 19 seconds? If the gap is true to about 10 seconds. And it probably is, yeah, about 10 seconds between Rayner and Zerd as he come out. And Ryzen is in between the two of them, like he was before, but crucially, Ryzen does not have to pit again, as do Rayner or Zerd, or even Cryzix, for that matter. So, yeah, Cryzix leads the Grand Prix, 10 seconds between himself and Rayner, and it's all going to be about if Rayner can catch up to the back of Cryzix and win this Grand Prix.
Yeah, he's going to... Now it's gone from Cryzix having to pick up every little piece of time on the table. Rayner's going to have to be. He's got 12 laps or so to be able to close this 9-second gap, which you'd assume on tyre delta alone should be possible. So it's probably going to be close in these last 2 or 3 laps. And I don't think Cryzix is going to give this up too easily. But then again, Rayner's definitely looking to really want to win this race.
Yeah, 8.6. 8.3 actually as they cross the line. So with about 12 laps to go in this race, Rayner will be clawing up that gap and reducing it lap by lap by lap. It'll be interesting to see how they can fare, as who's gone off at sector 3. Lazzaro has, oh no! Lazzaro was looking in a prime position on those new super soft tyres. He's gone off at sector 3, and that is front wing damage for the man who has been affected and been plagued by so many DNFs in this season. He got an incredible 2nd place result in USA last week, but it has not gone well for him. He comes into the pits with a set of Hypersoft tyres, a new fresh set and a new front wing as well, and a come out probably in 10th position as Richard B actually makes his way down the main straight, and Lazzaro just come out behind him. What a shame for Lazzaro. He comes out behind Cozzie as well, so it's outside of the points for Lazzaro. It's been looking so good. Maybe take a good point haul in today's race, but now he's going to have to get past guys ahead of him who have only recently stopped, to be honest. So it's going to be a matter of, can he get past these guys on those Hypersoft tyres to be quick? But will he be quick enough? Will he be consistent enough? Because that's something we don't see enough. As Rayner, speaking of consistency, Rayner is consistently pumping in those fast laps. 6 seconds. 6 seconds! Right now with 10 laps to go of this race.
over 1.5 seconds a lap faster than Cozzie1 ahead. It's not going to be as close as I thought it was. I'm going to have to give him another 3. He might even be passed by lap 30 in this race. That's a bit of an aggressive aim, but it's definitely not impossible. With the pace he's got at the moment, he's in really good shape, and I think this is going to be a relatively easy race win for Reina here.
As Haydn, Ozone and Mob are still going side by side. These have had a great scrap throughout this race, and Kane, with those quicker ultra-soft tyres, has dispatched off the Mercedes. In that 6th position goes Kane, and he gets past his Dutch compatriot into 7th place. Mob goes. As, yeah, speaking of clawing up, Zerd actually is gaining a lot on Ryzen as well. Still a battle for 3rd position, and these two obviously great history between these two in this season. Wouldn't it be great to have the championship to be decided by Zerd and Ryzen going hammer and tongue, squabbling for that final podium position? Because at the moment, it doesn't look like Zerd's pace is good enough to. It will definitely be good enough to get past Ryzen, but it won't be good enough to get past Reina, and certainly not Cozzie1. But we never know. 10 laps to go of this Grand Prix, and the gap is 4 seconds. Reina is so quick, and the mental thing is, he's not picking up any warnings with Zerd. It's becoming a bit of nature, to be honest. He's getting warning left, right, and centre, to be honest. And he's nearly got 4 penalties to his name. Reina hasn't even got off the mark yet.
Yeah, Reina's driven an absolutely amazing race here. We knew coming into this that he was favoured, and as there's a yellow flag somewhere in sector 2 and 3.
Oh, that's Sarah.
Oh, is it? Okay. And yeah, it's just, he's had amazing pace like predicted, and I'm sure now he's going to be desperate for that win. But there is a slightly closer battle at the moment between Zerd and Ryzen, the two, championship protagonists, and I'm sure Zerd is going to want to pick up this podium in the race where he wins the title. That will definitely mean something to him, to be able to stand on the podium of the day that he wins the title, as he's very close coming onto that straight, only 4 tenths back. I'm going to imagine this is going to be a relatively easy move. Ryzen might try to defend it, but they are in different races at this point, and Ryzen just lets him go, thinking intelligently for his race, and, well, essentially there, just letting the championship go away from him.
Yeah, what a shame for him, but the penalties might become a factor, because Zerd has picked up way too many penalties for his liking, I'm sure, in this race, and 11 seconds between Reina and Zerd. So Reina's been gaining on Cozzie1, but he's also been gaining away from Zerd, and 1.7 seconds, and especially through this section, you put your money on Reina clawing a few tenths off the gap between himself and Cozzie1 at the moment, and it's 1.2. Can he get into that DRS detection? I don't think it's going to happen at the moment. No, he won't, as there's more yellow flags in sector 2, and my guess is
Cozzie1 comes in.
Oh, this is 5 seconds stop go as well.
Oh no, so that's actually going to promote Zerd to P2, well, aggregate P2. That might not actually last as P2 if he's going to be out on some fresher tyres. He's and have overtaking on the mind, and that has essentially just gifted the win to Reina. He didn't even have to battle for that now. All he's got to do is just bring it home for these last 7 laps. Actually, yeah, Cozzie1 has come out on hyper soft tyres, and he's going to be flying towards the end of this race. And it's quite a big gap to close, but I definitely wouldn't count him out of getting that P2 back off Zerd. It's not that big actually, I was lying. It's only about 8.6 seconds. So he's definitely got a good chance of clawing this back. Yeah,
I'm going to be on the eye for Cozzie1 and see how quickly he can claw that gap up to Zerd and Ryzen. He's come out crucially ahead of returners, who's going side by side. Diracruci and Richie B are going side by side, and Diracruci has finally got his man in the Toro Rosso, moving himself up into 8th position in today's race. Very nicely done for him, as, yeah, 5.4 seconds the gap between Cozzie1 and Reina, with laps to go as Reina actually starts lap 30, so 7 laps to go. Apologies. With 11 seconds between Reina and Zerd, so Zerd will be champion in 7 laps time unless he throws it into the wall, which would be total disaster. And promote right up into second, which is all he needs to do to stay on the championship hunt, but that looks ever unlikely as the laps progress. It's for Zerd's FAP teammate Lazzaro has gone absolutely treacherous. He's lagging back. He nearly hits Richie B actually. And I think he might be sensible for him to call it a day, to be honest. He's running in his own race at the back, 58 seconds behind Big Boss. And is that Eli trying to get past him, who was battling with? Yes, it is. So Eli intended to going to lap the guy who was battling before that, so made his issue. And yeah, Kryzik's 4.3 seconds adrift. 4 seconds now. It's going to keep reducing. That's constantly, look, 3.8, 3.7. How long before he claws his way back up into Ryzen? I'm going to give it 2 laps. By the end of lap 32, Kryzik will retake that position on the podium ahead of Ryzen. It could even be before that, to be honest.
Maybe on the second straight, on lap 33, he's got a chance. That was an incredibly intelligent strategy decision from him there, because he was probably going to lose that second place to Zerd in the end, so he's probably the perfect moment in the race to change back to the 2-stop. He's picked it perfectly to pit and now have a charge to the end of the race, and I think actually making that 2-stop right at the last second is going to be able to gain him a higher position than he would have had otherwise. And it also means he's going to have a lot more fun while doing it, as I'm not even going to attempt it, I'll leave that one to you, Cozzie has picked up a penalty. Yeah, it's already down to 2 seconds. That's, yeah, incredible. And the aim of lap 33, that's, oh, well, no, not even lap 33, lap 32 second DRS straight. He may be getting past Ryzen ahead.
I mean, it might be front straight, to be honest, at this rate. 1.2 seconds coming out of the S section. And through this tight and technical sector 3, where grip is everything, to be honest, and Ryzen will be struggling on those tyres, and look at that, it's within DRS range already. Ryzen is carrying so much more speed compared to the Sauber, and now onto the front straight. Ryzen goes wide for good measure, and this could be an incredibly easy move. Heading down towards turn 1, there we go, Kryzik, a strategic masterstroke by him. Kryzik and Ryzen were both on the same strategies, but by Kryzik's pitting once again, he gets past Ryzen on track, when he could have been under threat by him if his tyres obviously weren't likely to last to the end. And that is 3rd position for Kryzik. And you can just about see that Haas car in his sights of Zerd. 3.6 seconds in the end between 2nd and 3rd. And yeah, 4 laps to go of this race, and unless Kryzik's Hypersoft tyres completely fall off the cliff, which they might do come the end, but I don't think they'll be doing that whatsoever in his quest to get 2nd position back once more. There's more yellow flags, and when you know it, it's for Lazzaro, and he's currently out of no one's way. More front wing damage, a wrecked race and a half, to be honest, as that's Zerd coming into his sight. So last thing he wants to do is make contact with his FAP teammate. I'm sure that won't go well in the FAP Twitter DMs after the race. But yeah, Zerd 2.5 seconds ahead of Kryzik. Kryzik is nearly, look at that fast lap of the race, 1:49. That is a scorching lap from the Renault, and the gap between Zerd and Kryzik is the same as the gap between Kryzik and Ryzen. Give this one more lap, and we're going to see a battle for 2nd position.
Yeah, that was a very good strategy decision from him there. And yeah, I don't think Zerd's probably going to battle this too much. He's all about just bringing this home. And with his penalties, he may not even end up finishing on the podium. He's still going to secure that championship, which is all important to him, but he might not end up getting that podium, which will be disappointing for him, but at the end of the day, that's racing.
Yeah, Unfortunately, we replicated what Lewis Hamilton did in the 2018 race where he won the championship and ended up coming P4, but he was a long way back as the two Red Bulls are squabbling for 8th position. That's Eli on the fresher tyres, getting past his teammate Diracote for that 8th spot in today's race. Good move from the Red Bull, and yeah, we're looking to gain on Marbles a bit further up the field. So both he and Eli have come into hyper soft tyres, and yeah.
He's already within that DRS range of the Haas ahead, and he's trying to wait until the second DRS straight. He's not even using any of his airs. He's planning this quite well, and I think that was a glitch lock-up as we see Big Boss has got past Diracote. And, well, he's got so much more grip than the Haas ahead of him, and this is probably actually going to be quite an easy move into the second chicane. Third's going to hold it around the outside though as best as he can. He doesn't want to give this up. Well, as I say that, he literally just gives it up. And now Cozzie1 can just settle into that second place. And unfortunately that gap to the lead in 3 laps isn't really going to come down enough to affect the race result. But yeah, he's now, with that very good strategy, is back up into second place and has demoted Zed down into 3rd. And after penalties, probably 4th.
Yeah, good move from Cozzie1. Pretty easy in the end. Zed tried to fight everything he could, but in the end, the tyre strategy just prevails in Cozzie1's favour. And yeah, brilliant strategy call for him. And he had a bit of fun, I'm sure, getting past the 2 drivers 1 and 2 in the championship. And crucially, there still is a battle for second place in the championship because Ryzen and Cozzie1 was this exceptional amount of form, you know, gaining what 6 points on Ryzen, so he's going to call that gap of a pretty decent margin between himself and Ryzen. So he could be on course to take second place in this race.
Yeah, very much. As Ryzen had a big moment through turn 1 there, and Lazaro, well, in the midst of all the spinning and crashing, hasn't managed to get his name onto the fastest lap board at least, which is something for him to take away, I suppose, despite being almost 2 laps down in this race at this point. And yeah, Reina's just relatively ran away with this, and I think coming onto the last lap in a moment, we should give a lap of glory to our, well, still potential champion. He's not champion until he crosses the line. So we'll have to wait as Diracote picks up another penalty in this race, and Ryzen also does. So that could be interesting. I'm not sure what the penalties are looking like between the Sauber and the Haas, both the Ferrari engined cars, but we'll have to see what it's like at the end of the race. It's still quite close in terms of gap. Maybe Zerd needs to pull out this 5/10, but I'm sure at the moment he's not just thinking about that. All he's got to do is bring this car home, and he is the champion.
Yeah, 1 more lap to saviour before he becomes an F4 champion. And I think coming into the season, it might have been out of the question, to be honest, for Zerd. He might not have thought, you know what, I'm going to come into the season and win this championship. It's his 3rd attempt on F1, on the F1 games here in AOR. Season 14, I think he came in a bit too late to mount a challenge. Season 15, obviously his pad broke, which gave him the incentive to ditch the pads, ditch his friend Curly Whirly in the pads, and join the wheel gang, and it's proved to be one of his best strategy calls in this season. He came into the season thinking maybe this year might be it. The season at the start didn't go so well. He didn't have the best luck as Reina crosses the line to win the Grand Prix. But the Balloon CD Battles legend is going to round the final corner and join the likes of Smeed and Railgun to win the PC F4 Championship. Zerd has done it in Season 16. And a round of applause whatsoever, because Zerd, he has done it. He's instantly left. I don't think he's the happiest man in the world, to be honest. He comes home, he didn't win the Grand Prix. That's what he would have wanted. 3rd position he has to settle for. But the man from Cambridge does indeed win the championship. I don't think at the start of the season, Hayden, it might not have been a possibility, because Collis and Lars are starting to run away. But then they got promoted into your tier in F3, and then that kind of gave them the door opening to maybe challenge for the championship. And since the winter break, he has been formidable. He has definitely been the force, winning 5 races in the span. And there we go. Discord's probably going wild because Zerd is your champion, and Ryzen gave it everything, but it wasn't enough. And in the midst of all that, Reynolds won the Grand Prix in what has been a sensational race for him. And fair play to him. He didn't expect that, but yeah, Rayner wins his first race win of the season. Hats off to him, but unfortunately for him, I don't want to feel bad for him, but he isn't really much in the spotlight. The man in the spotlight is the man coming home in third. Zerd, as actually Kryzik's comes home in second, with what was one of the best strategy calls of the season, to be honest. Well, two-stop strategy working insanely well. But Zerd is your champion, Haydn. Unbelievable.
Yeah, coming into this season, he didn't think he'd have the pace to even be competing for the top half of the field. Never mind for the championship. And yeah, he's done a great job. And importantly for him, he has managed to keep his podium place there with Ryzen picking up 2 penalties. Sorry, so he's managed to keep his podium place, and I think I'll let you run through the order of the race quickly.
Yeah, Rayner picks up his first victory of the season ahead of Kryzik. 17 seconds in the end. That was how dominant Rayner was. Zerd coming home in third to win the championship. Ryzen comes home in fourth. Caden fifth, returns sixth. Eli seventh. Mob eighth. Richie B, I think, was in ninth. And Dirikoti rounded out your top 10 in what has been a very interesting Mexican Grand Prix. And yeah, I think that was a good way to seal the championship for Zerd. It wasn't the best way. Obviously, he would have wanted that victory, but it didn't come. But he has to set up a third best. But it's still under the podium for his season, and I'm sure he can take some satisfaction out of that performance.
Yeah, he definitely can. And I've just looked to see if anyone's ready for interview, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have any interviews this race, not even with our champion, so I think we're going to have to end the stream there.
That's very unfortunate. I would have wanted to have a quick word with them after his initial thoughts after winning the championship, but, you know, he's obviously he must be elated with that performance and winning the championship. So we'll leave it to him. We can imagine what he's thinking right now. But that is going to be it then for the third to last round of the season. 2 more rounds to go of what has been a thrilling F4 season, and with the championship crowned, there's still the constructors up for grabs, and there's still a lot of places below the champion to be decided. So hopefully the final 2 rounds will throw up a lot of fantastic racing like we saw tonight. But then that will be it for this stream. Hopefully you enjoyed the race as much as me and Hayden enjoyed commentating it. And we will be back, well, I'll be back at least for Brazil next time out. Thank you, Hayden, for joining me in the commentary box. Really enjoyed that race as much as probably you did as well.
Yep, no problem. And yeah, thank you to everyone for watching the stream. I'll let you round it out.
Thank you, everyone. We will see you for Brazil in a week's time from all of us here. Thank you and good night.
Good night.